The Beat.
You ready?
All right, what's going on, y'all? Welcome. It's Off the Fence. It's another Tuesday, and I am so excited to be here with you guys. We're talking tonight how to beat the IRS, and in our fireside chat, we're going to talk about what is a high value man or woman. That's going to be a very interesting conversation. Tonight, we have a really great guest here. This guy here is so phenomenal. I happened to see him on another podcast, and we're just so honored to have him here with us tonight. And I hope you guys here glean from the information he has. He's been in this industry for quite some time. He has a wealth of knowledge and experience. And I want you guys to ask as many questions as you can. Tonight, we're going to do something a tad bit different. We're going to engage the people on Clubhouse so we can have this conversation. So if you're on Clubhouse right now, invite some people into this room so we can have this conversation. And if you guys can hear me on Clubhouse, I want to make sure you can hear me. Raise your hand so I can see you and make sure you can hear me clearly. Yeah, that way. And I'm going to introduce our guest here in a second. Hey, Wanda, how you doing? I see you in Clubhouse. I'm going to shout out everybody who comes in the room. So how you doing? Glad you're here. Glad you can make it. And for all you guys who tune in each and every Tuesday here on Off the Fence with Finch, welcome. Thank you for joining us. And I got something we're gonna announce later on in the show. So hope you guys are having a great time here tonight. All right, guys, my guest tonight is an accomplished senior executive and entrepreneur with more than 50 years. You heard that correct. 50 years of financial leadership experience in a broad range of industries, and he's the author of 4 books. Let's count them: 1, 2, 3, 4. I feel like Steph Curry right now. His latest book, The Payroll Book, a guide for small businesses and startups, is currently number 25 in small business book section on Amazon. He is a CPA, U.S. tax court practitioner. That's a lot of words, isn't it? He's the member of the Internal Revenue Service Advisory Council, IRSAC, and he's the founder of Get Payroll, and we're getting one-on-one with him right now. All right. What's going on, Mr. Charles Reed?
Finch, it's a pleasure to be with you this evening. Thanks for having me.
Hey, man, thank you for being here. We are so honored and glad that you are here. Everybody wants to know how to beat the IRS. Hell, I want to know. So, I didn't know beforehand that you was actually on the council. That's a big accomplishment, I'm sure.
It's a lot of fun. It's not many of us get selected, but I was selected for a 3-year term on there, and I had a lot of fun. Nice thing about it for me professionally is I had lunch with the Chuck Reddick, the new commissioner, several times while I was up there. I met all the commissioners, the various business sections of the IRS, met the chief counsel, the chief appeals, met all kinds of people and got a much better understanding of how the IRS works. I mean, the IRS is 100,000 people, a lot of people. And, they're all mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, sons, daughters. For the most part, they're nice people. For the most part. I mean, there's a few, but, but they're working in a system that we have to put up with, and they have to put up with us. So,
yep. That's awesome. That's awesome. So when people think about the IRS, it's always a scary thing because if I don't pay my taxes, they're going to come take everything I have. And oftentimes people are told the IRS are people, they are third-party company. And you don't have to pay them taxes. And so much misinformation out here in our country. Can you explain to the American public, people who may be listening or watching this right now, about how the IRS works and why we have to pay them taxes?
Sure. The IRS enforces the law that your congresspeople write.
Mm.
So if you don't like what the law is, the IRS didn't write it. Your congressman or congresswoman wrote it. They're the ones that are responsible. The IRS just enforces the law that Congress passes. Now,
Uh,
yeah, you got to pay taxes, and the IRS is a legitimate agency. There's all kinds of nonsense. Wesley Snipes got into it, and other people have, but I don't have to pay this, and so on and so forth. And you saw what happened to Wesley. He went to federal prison, and
True.
that's the normal outcome in the end. Is you get a vacation at Club Fed. Uh, I don't recommend it as a vacation spot, but it's better than a county jail in Arkansas, but
Yeah.
not much.
So is it true that the IRS is a third party company? It's not really part of the U.S. government.
No, it's part of the U.S. government. They're all federal employees. Chuck Reddick is appointed by he's the commissioner. He works for the Secretary of Treasury.
Mhm.
These all people work for the president because it's part of the administration. They're all get federal pensions. They're on the federal insurance program. Now, they do hire some outside collectors, very few of them occasionally, that do some collection because, frankly, it's hard to find people to work for the IRS. Their
Oh,
most recent push to hire people fell to about 65% of what they were trying to seek. So they're having lots of problems getting people to work for the IRS. And, with their reputation, you can understand that. Do you really want to tell your neighbors, "Oh yeah, I work for the IRS"?
yeah, that part. That
Let's
part.
talk about your work and all your hobbies, okay?
I can understand that. So let's talk about um what are ways that, because when we talk about beating the IRS, to the average citizen, that seems virtually impossible. Mainly because, and I probably can equate that to the average citizen not knowing a host of tax laws. So in lieu of that information not being in everybody's repertoire, what would you say are three things that can help assist people in quote unquote beating the IRS?
Well, the first thing is keep all your data. Keep all your receipts. Anything that you think is deductible or you think might be deductible, keep records of it. That's the very first thing is when you get down to April 15th, you need to have all that data. Your memory is going to fail. You will forget things. If you've got it all, and, I'm a CPA, so I keep track of everything. I have 35 years of tax returns and receipts in boxes in the attic. Okay. That's
Wow.
me. But that's the kind of thing you need to do. Have some place you put it all. When you do it, mark it up so you remember what it is, what it's for, what it was, what the business purpose or the deductibility of it is, and keep it all. And then summarize it. Next thing to do is, unless you have strictly just a W 2, if you have a W 2, you can do your own taxes. It's not hard to do. You can do free file through the IRS or a number of other tax software you can buy.
Hmm.
But if you get complex, once you own investment property, you have a rental property, or you start a gig, a side business, and you have revenue and expenses, you really should consider getting with a reputable tax professional. There's a lot of them commercial, and there's a lot of CPAs and EAs, which are enrolled agents, are all vetted by the IRS as such. So, and there's crooks out there, and they'll tell you they can get you this huge refund and lots of other things for a fee. And then 2 years later, when you can't find them and the IRS is knocking on your door, you have a whole different problem. So use a reputable uh, tax preparer. And the more complex you get, if you've got a radio show and a couple of side businesses and people working for you, I really suggest a CPA to help you structure everything so it's the best tax event for you. And then the third one is really simple. Make sure all the arithmetic is correct. The biggest source of penalties from the IRS is arithmetic errors. Tax
Oh,
returns
wow.
don't add up, and so on. So and they just put that into the computer, and if it comes back and it doesn't add up, you got a penalty. It's that simple. So, and that's the majority of tax penalties is simple arithmetic errors. So those three things will solve a lot of the problems. Couple of tips. If you have a deduction and you don't have proof of it, you can still take it. You don't have to prove it. You just have to have done it. If you bought a piece of equipment over here for $100 and you lost the receipt, that doesn't mean you can't deduct it. Go ahead and deduct it on your tax return. Now, if you get audited, which is rare, the IRS may disallow it because you can't prove it, but it doesn't mean you can't deduct it.
And when you
And
say it's rare, what you mean rare?
probably less than 1 in 100.
Okay.
Even for small businesses. For individuals, the biggest one for individuals is earned income tax credit, because the earned income tax credit is rife with fraud. Okay.
Uh-huh.
It just is, because it's a refundable credit. So people who don't pay taxes can still get a tax refund by improperly claiming earned income tax credit. So there's a lot of fraud and there's a lot of audits there. But other than that, an individual is probably going to get audited 1 out of every 150 tax returns.
Wow.
Small businesses with net income under 100,000, probably less than 1 in 100 are going to get audited. Now, if you're a rich radio star and you're knocking down $500,000 a year, Finch, well, your chance of audit probably go up to about 1 in 25.
1 in 25, huh?
Yeah. And if you're a major corporation, when I worked for J.C. Penney's years ago, J.C. Penney's had 2 IRS auditors on the premises at headquarters, and their job was to audit transactions ongoing at J.C. Penney's every day of the week, 40 hours a week. That was their job.
Mhm.
So, believe me, Musk, who pays a lot of taxes, regardless of what you hear, he basically lives in an audit. So does Trump. So do other billionaires. They get audited some portion of their empire every year.
Wow.
That's where
That's
the money's
interesting.
at.
I mean, I read about how Donald Trump puts money in a trust and then he circulates it through a corporation, a host of other things that allows him to negate paying a host of income taxes. And I think that's one of the things that lead to people, I guess, not understanding what the tax brackets are as well as the tax breaks. So, can you talk to us a little bit about tax brackets and tax breaks?
Well, we operate in a progressive tax system, which means the more you make, the higher the percentage you pay. The top 10% of wage earners in this country pay 40% of all income tax. The bottom, and this came out in a couple election cycles ago, the bottom 47% of income earners don't pay any federal income tax. Now, they still pay Social Security and FICA taxes, sales taxes, gasoline taxes, all kinds of taxes,
Hmm.
but they don't pay income tax. So the IRS is not interested in sales tax or gasoline tax. That's all handled by other people. The IRS is interested basically in income tax, both personal and corporation, plus employment taxes, which is the FICA and the Medicare that's withheld from a paycheck. That gets matched by the employer and all gets deposited. The IRS in fiscal 19 issued $13 billion in penalties on employment tax alone. But the progressive tax system means that the percentage of your income, as your income goes higher, the percentage of taxes go higher and higher and higher to about, I think currently, 40% of that last dollar will be taken by the IRS. Now, there are a lot of, call them loopholes, that Congress wrote in that allow you to do some things, trusts and other mechanisms, tax credits, foreign investment credits,
Mhm.
investment tax credits, credits for hiring former felons, credits for setting up enterprises in low income zones and Indian reservations and other things that allow you to minimize your taxes. Every one of these is legal and written by your congressman or woman. And that's where people say, well, there's loopholes and they don't pay. Most of the rich pay a good sum of taxes, far more than you or I pay. Whether they pay the same percentage, and also, for instance, Warren Buffett makes a lot of his income as capital gains. Well, capital gains, because they're investment and over a period of time, aren't taxed as heavily as what's called ordinary income, which is what you get when you work for somebody.
Mhm.
But that capital gain that he's paying on may be for an investment that's stretched out over 20 years. And now he may have made 100% capital gain. He invested $1 million and he sold it for $2 million, and he only pays 20%. But that's over 20 years of time. And frankly, that 2 million based with inflation probably isn't worth the $1 million investment he made in the beginning. So he's losing money on it.
Yeah.
A lot of
Yeah.
things happen. There's a lot of variations.
All right. So, Charles, I'm going to bring in some of my friends right now. Mika and JB, so they can ask some questions too about beating the IRS, payroll, taxes. JB has a lot of child support, so he's probably trying to figure out how to maneuver around that child support so he don't have to pay his baby mamas, the money that they're trying to get from him and his wife.
18 years, it'll all be gone.
18 years. JB, you on mute. You got to unmute yourself.
I said, yeah, I was appreciating. That was good advice from Mr. Reed. You got to see that light at the end of the tunnel. Oh, but I did have a quick question though. So, Mr. Reed, can you talk about the different tax breaks that small businesses get and small entrepreneurs get? Different from a regular 9-to-5.
Well, there's a couple of things. One of which was installed in 2017, where in an S corp, which is a pass-through entity, where the business is owned by individuals and the income is reported on the individual's tax return, there's a 10% break off the top of income that doesn't get taxed. That's fairly new. The other thing is, with a pass-through entity, like an S corporation or an LLC that's taxed as an S corporation, is you're not paying tax in the entity. If you're a C corporation, which most major corporations are, they pay tax directly, and then the distributions to their shareholders get taxed again. With an S corp, which is my recommendation for most small businesses, is you don't pay that double taxation. Plus, there's some things that go on that some of the expenses can turn out to be business that would otherwise be personal. That's one of the things, you can structure your business so these things are deductible. One of my favorites is the accountant that liked Hawaii. So he put an ad in the Hawaiian paper to do tax work, got a client, flew over to Hawaii, did the taxes, and over the years, over 20 years, he built up a large clientele in Hawaii. So he could go over and have his vacation in Hawaii that he loved and do business, and it was all deductible. Another one is the doctor in Florida. He had a yacht, but he took other doctors fishing, and he claimed it as a business expense and the IRS said no. And the doctor proved that if a doctor didn't refer clients to him, which produced income, after the second trip, he didn't take them out anymore. It was a way for him to build his practice and his taxable income. And it was a business expense. But it also gave him a very nice boat to go fishing on.
Wow.
That's smart.
So this This is where using a tax professional can help you structure a business to be as tax advantaged as possible. We know the laws, we study them, we live with them. I get several emails a week from the IRS on changes and things that are going on. So we can help a small business structure what they do, where they spend their money, how they spend their money to be as tax advantaged as possible. Then, of course, there's a whole gig economy, and there's lots of benefits there where, even your commuting becomes tax deductible. So talk to your tax professional if you're going to be in the gig economy to make sure that you get all the deductions that your congressman said you can have. So take advantage of them.
Okay.
Mika, you got a question?
I do. I do. I have a few.
Oh.
And I feel like this sweatshirt's appropriate. Like everything you said is more money, more problems. That's what it sounds like. But when you were talking about working for the IRS and then falling 65% short, other than, just the reputation and you don't want your neighbors and your friends to know, are the prerequisites that high, or like what's keeping people from wanting to really work for the IRS?
Well, the IRS hires all kinds of people. They have mailroom clerks that open mail. I mean, and that requires basically, a clean criminal record. And then they hire all the way up through very experienced tax attorneys. So there's all kinds of jobs at all kinds of levels. And one of their when you talk to Chuck, he tells you, Chuck Reddick, the commissioner, he says the biggest problem the IRS has is budget. The second biggest problem the IRS has is budget. And the third problem that they have is budget.
Yes, budget.
Exactly. Congress does not allocate enough money to them. And this is another reason they're a federal agency, is because their budget's set by Congress and they only have so much money to spend. And if they don't have enough money to employ everyone, they can't hire them. But there's all kinds of jobs at the IRS, and it comes down to, do you want to work for the federal government? It pays pretty well. The benefits are pretty good. The retirement's pretty good. It's not a bad career, okay, in a lot of ways. But you do still have to tell your neighbors that you work for the IRS. Now, if you're in D.C., well, your neighbors probably work for the IRS too, so
right.
It's okay.
Okay, which takes me to my next question. You said number one of your tips was to keep the receipts, and you have an attic full. I'm sure there's times that you go up there and those boxes, those sheets are completely empty, which is probably the IRS using that type of receipt paper that goes blank. But so what type of backup could you maybe suggest to store receipts? Because we know those originals are going to, fade over time.
The trick is to photocopy them
Okay.
onto paper, and that photocopy will last forever. That's the next thing. The other thing is to write it down in a contemporaneously created journal. In other words, one you do every day. And the IRS and the courts put great stock in a contemporaneously created record. If you've got a journal of everything and the house burns down and all the receipts are up in smoke, and you've got that contemporaneously created journal, you'll probably get it all. You'll survive an audit because it's all in different pens and pencils and scratches and coffee spills and tears and everything else. And it obviously was done over time. And that's something that is very powerful.
Okay.
Oh, that's good.
And
I got a
last
question.
Oh, go ahead.
So I want to ask this before Mika asks her next question. What advice would you give for, let's say, couples or people who may be married individuals who are in business together as partners, or they have a partnership? What advice would you give them as it relates to taxes and doing business together?
Oh, okay. Because my first advice, because I was in business with my wife, is don't beat each other up. Okay. That doesn't help the marriage. My parents were in a business together, and so when I went into business with my wife, I thought it was just normal, right? I grew up with it. Well, being in business with your wife is an unnatural act. And
unnatural, huh?
Unnatural. You have to restructure that entire relationship. But again, it's keeping track of everything. It is working together on it. Maybe one person does all the record keeping and the other one, is doing the work. It's segregate the duties so it all gets done, work together on it. Normally filing married and joint is the best way to do it. But again, your tax professional can look at it and say, maybe there's something else. And it depends on the state, because if you're in a community property state like Texas, then half of what she makes is yours and half of what you make is hers
in
by
Texas
law in the community property states. And there's a number of them. In separate property states, it's not. So again, your tax professional can help advise you on this, but working together is a lot of fun too. But it is something you have to practice.
I heard it could be. All right, Mika, what's your next question?
My last question. We hear rumors. I've even heard people say, I pay my taxes, so I pay your salary. You take this money. Can you give us a high level overview of where this money is going?
Oh, what a question.
the federal budget is multi-trillions of dollars. 75% of the tax dollars the government spends comes through payroll as either withholding or employment taxes. Obviously, from a very high level, defense budget, Social Security, Medicare are three of the big things. Most of the money outside of the defense budget goes for human services stuff, HHS, again, Social Security, Medicare, and so on. There's a large portion that goes to the defense budget. Other than that, it's just spread out over a million things. If you really want to get upset, go to Rand Paul's site and look at the waste that he lists every year, the things he considered wasted items, and it will make your blood boil. We're financing, how to rehabilitate prostitutes in Thailand.
Oh wow!
And things like that. It's absolutely crazy. But Ron Paul has on his website a list of those that will just fry you.
Well, thank you.
How to rehabilitate prostitutes. Okay, that's new.
That's Thailand.
In Thailand.
In Thailand.
All right. The ones in the U.S., there's no hope for them. But let's rehabilitate the ones in Thailand. Okay. All right, Charles. So if people want to connect with you offline, how can they do so?
Get Payroll, obviously, from the backdrop. My email is cjr@getpayroll. And they're welcome to email me, and I love to answer questions.
All right. Well, listen, man, thank you so much for being on our show. We had a great time with you. We appreciate you stopping by the fence, and we hope you got somebody's ass off the fence today about the IRS and taxes.
My pleasure, Finch. Thanks for having me.
All right. We'll see you next time. All right, guys, when we come back, we are talking about what is a high value man or woman. We're going to have a real great conversation about that. We got more off the fence with Finch when we return. Don't you guys go, man. Now, listen, share this with somebody right now. Get them in here for this part of the conversation. We want to have this conversation. We want to hear we want your questions. If you guys are in Clubhouse right now, hopefully you can hear me now and you can hear us now. So raise your hand, ask the questions. We'll bring you up and get into this conversation. We'll be right back. Don't you guys go anywhere.
The fiance, the wife, to be, didn't happen. She has her mouth wide open, getting chocolate dripped into her mouth from the penis of the stripper at the bachelorette party.
So you telling me the night before we are going to say I do for the rest of our life with one another, I need one more night to lay it all on the line? Like, what kind of bullshit is that?
And can't y'all picture my man at the house just taking his tux off as soon as he saw that video? It was like,
Right.
He didn't have to let this man put his dick in the mouth and drip chocolate all over her mouth. She didn't have to do that.
Shawty got drunk, thought it all was a dream, so I made her say,
You had your mouth wide open, letting chocolate drip, and you thought you was gonna kiss me after that. I do.
nah.
I don't.
Catch all new episodes Tuesdays at 7 p.m. This month, we're giving out $250 to our fans. Hey, our podcast is on Zipstream, which means every month, one of our listeners will get a chance to win $250. That's right, $250. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Zipstream for your chance to win. Link in the bio. And make sure you hashtag Zipstream Podcast Competition.
Hey, welcome back. It's Off the Fence with Finch. I am Finch, and I have my friends hanging out. We have a candid conversation about a host of topics, subjects, and things. If you guys missed any of our conversation with Charles Reed, is it Reed or Reed? Charles Reed. You guys can watch the replay or catch that segment when it releases in a week or so. Right now, I want to talk about. I heard this term, and it really just in my. I mean, I didn't hear it before then, but it became popularized in the last couple years with this guy named Kevin Samuels. Now he's hated by a lot of people, loved by a few, but he talked about a high value man / woman. Got me thinking, like, what is that, man? Like, what is that really? I think sometimes when it comes to terms and things in our society, we just go with it because somebody said it. We don't ever question it. We don't ever, we just oh, okay, that's what it is. Oh, that's what it's supposed to be. And now we have this thing where men and women are looking for relationships, and they're looking for high value men and women. And I'm just like, are we missing out on quality relationships because we're looking for something that somebody defined as one thing when it could be something completely different? But that's our fireside chat conversation. We're going to have that right now. So first of all, let me say, how y'all doing?
I'm amazing this Tuesday.
How the hell are y'all doing, man?
I'm about to beat this IRS. That's what I'm about to do.
Hey, I mean, listen, they have a program for rehabilitating prostitutes in Thailand, Mika. What they doing with our money for real?
That's what I wanted to know, but it's being divided all over, even to Thailand prostitutes.
Thailand rehabilitated prostitutes. Like, what does that program look like, y'all think? Like, they have rehabilitation boot camp. Like, what are they doing to
using what they got to get what they want?
Okay, running whole quotes. Okay, all right, I see you over there. So let me ask you this question about that before we get into this other conversation. It's not even about what they doing. It's more so about why they doing it.
Why is the money going there? Why is that important?
Right.
Let's rehabilitate retired firemen or something like prostitutes.
Wait a minute, Mika. We got teachers. We got police officers. We got first responders. There's a host of people. Your cousin, not your cousin, but somebody's cousin named Ned on the street. That's a wino or a drugger. We got so many people we can help rehabilitate. Why are we using our dollars here in the U.S. to rehabilitate prostitutes in Thailand? So what is it that they're really rehabilitating them to do?
Yeah,
that sounds like a tax write-off. That right there in itself, like the yacht. That sounds like the yacht. Like, this is what we're saying we're doing, but that's not what we're doing with the money.
Who's writing that off, though?
Who knows? We would have to get Mr. Reed. I don't understand any of it. I just know it's my money and I want it now.
and what's crazy about that is that our government can do that and not even have our consent.
That part.
I mean, like you said, I mean, there's so many things within the confines of this country that money could be going towards to fix or to at least make better. and to send it to something. I mean, I don't want to make it seem like we're devaluing the lives of Thailand prostitutes,
Right.
but I mean, but we have, you know, things here in our own homeland that need to be changed
Right.
and rehabilitated and updated. So
I mean, you got you got some presidents. I mean, not presidents. You got some
No.
prostitutes out here on Sunset. You got some prostitutes in Atlanta on Peachtree. You got some prostitutes on Figueroa. You got prostitutes right here in the USA that need to be rehabilitated.
yeah.
Like, listen, come on now, come on, somebody. What y'all doing with our money?
Yeah.
I just want to know. All right. So, what do you guys think about this whole term, high value man and woman? And I gotta ask this question even to you guys who are listening, whether you're listening in Clubhouse or you're listening on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, wherever you're listening at or watching at. What is this term that we have allowed to come into our ear gates about a high value man or woman? And is that something that is truly, like, I saw these stats that was given by these I don't know who to call these people, quote unquote experts. And I'm reading these, and I'm going to read them to you guys, and I want to hear what your actual thoughts or concern is. But when we think about this term, what is something y'all think about when you think about high value man or high value woman?
I didn't think anything. I never heard the term until Kevin Samuels. And then my bro would always talk to me and make posts. Shout out to my brother Jamal. He was the most hated man next to Kevin Samuels on Facebook because he kept saying HV and LW, like low value women. And they have acronyms for these things now. Like, it's crazy. And the way he explained it is, and what was pissing off everybody on Facebook, basically, the older the woman gets, the lower our value goes, and the older a man gets, the higher his value is. So he was basically telling women between, it may have been 25 to 35 that their value has dropped from what it was. And then if you start adding things, it just continues to drop. That kid drops your value, like I'm a Oldsmobile or something on the lot, and
right.
And if you now throw in, I've had a divorce, I'm just plummeting because of my circumstances or my life choices changes my value. And I was just like, I can see what you're saying there, but that ain't it. That's not it, bro.
Yeah.
But who does that change your value to? Like,
Yeah,
when you think about that, like, if a man sees you less than a woman because you had a kid or you went through a divorce, and like, that's not the type of man you want anyway.
Exactly. So it's subjective. Your value, first of all, what is it? What is the term? Woman value, high value woman.
Yeah.
I think that's depends on me. If I'm confident and I have, and I have high self-esteem and I'm, very positive and walk around and just exuding just good things, I feel high value in myself.
Right.
Now, someone else could see that. It could take me and my 5 kids and 4 baby daddies. I mean, does that make him a low value man for liking a woman like myself because I have 5 kids, 5 baby daddies? Does that make him? But that's what I would heard. Yes. Right. He's also a low value man. If he was like that type of woman, he wouldn't be a high value man because no high value man would ever do that.
Now, let's be clear. Mika does not have 5 kids.
Definitely don't.
Want to be certain about that.
I sure don't.
People are like, oh, she got 5 kids. Oh,
well, JB got all them baby mamas and child support. He behind. So you just got a jacked up friends. You need better friends, Finch.
I need better friends. All my friends are low value. I mean,
I'm way down here.
JB, do you consider yourself a high value man? Do you like that term at all?
I don't. I don't like it because it always, going back to having Mr. Reed on the show, it kind of makes you feel like if you're not in a certain tax bracket financially, then you are a low value. And that's just not the case. I mean, if everything was based off of income, can you imagine the amount of relationships that you miss out on just because someone doesn't make a certain amount of money in a certain year?
Right.
I mean,
Or,
I mean, that's to me, that's you really set yourself up for failure. That's really shallow if you
right.
base your relationships based off of this person's tax bracket or lack thereof.
Definitely. From
Let me
the way he described it, Russell Wilson he's a low value man for picking Sierra, but
Right.
she was a single mother with this child in that age frame. And I'll be damned if neither one of them low value. Like it's crazy. There's someone for everyone, and it doesn't change your value. Like, who are you to pick my value?
So they said Russell Wilson was a low value man for choosing a woman who already had a kid.
By someone like that too. That also dropped her value as well. Not just having a kid, the person she decided to have this kid with, someone of that, multiple kids, like your value is really low. And I don't know if they think that's what they think of themselves, but I don't feel like she felt that way.
Well, I think it's bullshit for one. Because when I hear that, I think it's just somebody who costs a lot. It's like,
Yeah, it's like somebody that's high maintenance.
Yeah, high maintenance, and not high value, but high maintenance. Like we got to jump through all these hoops for your ass. Like it ain't worth it. And you know what tripped me out about people is everybody always thinks they're worth it. At the end of the day, what makes you worth the headaches I got to deal with to be with your ass? That don't make you worth it just because you have accumulated things. And I feel like in our society, we rarely hear people talking about building shit together. Like if his credit's jacked up or her credit's jacked up, and this is one of the things I have never liked in our society is a man could come in, let's say he's a entertainer, basketball player, business tycoon, and he can get a woman at, let's say her credit is messed all the way up.
McDonald's window.
He can help her become somebody of stature in our society as people look at it, and nothing's rarely said about that. But and on the interim, she couldn't in our society. She can't do that for a man. It's like, oh, that's beneath you to do that for. And I think at the end of the day, we often look at everybody else's truth as true because somebody, and it's really, in my opinion, it's predicated on the messenger, not necessarily the facts, but it's the person that tells you. So if somebody like a Kevin Samuel who grows a online presence with whatever his platform was and whatever he has done, it's like, so what he says goes, and that is the truth of our society versus that'd be like, oh, that's bullshit, man. Like that's like JB said, that's shallow,
Yeah,
like,
I was gonna say he got even more shallow. He was like, how much do you weigh? He was asking women how much they weighed. Rate yourself from 1 to 10. What do you think? And women were being honest. They're like, well, I would consider myself about a 6'7". So you are 6'7". You weigh 180 pounds, and you think you're going to get a man of that caliber? Like, this is how he was, like, he speaks, and it's like, oh wow. So she can't get no one, huh?
But why? That's the thing. Why? Why do we feel like we have to subscribe? Like, I get so annoyed by, let's put me on the screen right now. I get so annoyed. I get so annoyed by people who subscribe to every damn thing society says. It's like, if society say it, that's what I gotta do. So, and we talk about everything from relationships to manifestations. Like, just because it's on social media and somebody says it, that is the golden rule. That is the mantra I'm going to live by because so and so said it. And we follow these trends. And I think Kevin Samuels is a trend in a sense. It was something that was trendy, it's hot. It was new, it's fresh. It's something that's controversial. So, and it's like people are so upset about the stuff he say, not realizing it's just his opinion.
It's an opinion.
And you can always cut it off.
You can. And they're like assholes. We all have one.
Yeah. I mean, because going back to what we were saying earlier, I mean, to base a person's morals or who they are as people off of their income, I think it's just insane. I mean, because if you think about it, we live in a capitalistic society. Not everybody's born rich. Some people are born poor. Some people are born in the middle. So, I mean, it's really based off your work ethic and having a little luck to
Yeah.
get to where you're trying to get to in life.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's to base it off of, well, you don't make 6 figures. That means you must not be worth my time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's crazy.
All right, so listen, guys. In case you just joining us, wherever you're listening or watching from, we're having this conversation. We're doing something tonight that we haven't done on this podcast in the 4 seasons we've had it. We're having this conversation live right now on Clubhouse, and there's some people in Clubhouse right now. If you want to join in on this conversation and you're in Clubhouse, just raise your hand. We'll get you up, and you can join into this conversation. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can. Just raise your hand and I'll bring you in and you can engage in this conversation. We're having this conversation right now about what is a high value man or woman. And we're not here to subscribe to society's norms of what that is and what Kevin Samuel said and whoever. And we're not here to bash whoever said what. We don't care. Our job here tonight is we're just having a conversation. And we want to have this conversation because I think this conversation is necessary. And oftentimes we don't hear people talking about the fact that just because somebody said it doesn't mean don't make it true. It don't make it true just because somebody said it. You know what I'm saying? It does not make it true. So I'm going to go down this list of things that they said. These are the traits that society says that garners a high value man. And then I'm gonna do the same thing for the women. They say he's emotionally intelligent. Now, this is defined by Goldman and Tradberry, and it's one of those things where it includes part of his emotional intelligence. Him being a high value man is self-awareness. He's one who owns emotions, drives, personality, passions. He has self-management. They say he's deferring pleasure, staying power, and grit, whatever that is. He has social awareness, other people's emotions and social dynamics, and he has, I guess, he has good relationship management. But he's single. He got good relationship management, but he's single. And they say that what's included in his relationship management and making that be good and high value is he knows how to build and manage positive relationships. Now, I'm gonna assume that they're talking about relationships that are not strictly romantic,
Right.
in nature.
I assume that as well.
Yeah. That's what I would say. He has number 2 thing is he has a purpose. But don't we all have a purpose? Don't we all have a purpose? So everybody in our society has to be high value because we all have a purpose. The problem most times is people haven't discovered what that purpose is.
Right.
But everybody was born with a purpose, with an intent. You're not just here by happenstance. Oh, my mother, she got raped, or my father did this. And it's like, okay, I understand all of those things, but you still have a purpose. Doesn't matter how you got here. The fact that you are here says you have a purpose. What do y'all think about those two? The traits of a high value man is he's emotionally intelligent and he has a purpose.
It sounds like a good guy. I think we talk about trigger words. I think the word value is what's bothering me because I hear value and I see a dollar symbol right in the front of it. Maybe if it was a high, something else, like a highly confident and low confident, but the word value is not sitting right with me.
What about the word high? That could mean
they can literally throw the whole thing in the trash, but the value is the one that really is like high value. Like I think dollar, when I think value.
Yeah.
When you also think about value, you think about when you place a quote unquote value on someone, are you saying that someone is more important than someone else?
You're giving them their worth. You're saying this woman, so if the thing is 35 to 40, and you're saying, for example, me, mother of one, you're saying this young lady without kids is worth more than me. And I don't like that.
So are we now, is that the same thing that the slave owners did?
Sounds like it.
Before sending us out to auction.
It sounds just like it.
Why we don't see that as the same? Like you're allowing someone to place a emblem on you that says you're worth this. You can't define how much you're worth yourself because we have to allow other people to
To assess
define,
us. Mhm.
to assess us and say, okay, I see you're worth this. And the crazy part about that, y'all, is so many men and women subscribe and buy into this bullshit.
Because it's trending. There's no different than a hot dance on TikTok. Whatever's trending, whether it's thoughts, emotions, dances, people gonna roll with it.
hmm But what's also crazy about that list too is that when I listened to the list, I didn't naturally associate that with somebody who makes a certain amount of money. That just sounds like someone who's mature.
Mhm.
That part.
That's why I said a good guy, mature.
Right, yeah. That's none of that equated to being someone who makes 6 or 7 figures. That's
CEO, right?
right. That equated to someone who has lived life and learned a few lessons along the way, and is now doing better because of what he went through. Not necessarily, I made $1 million last year.
Sounds like a resilient man to me.
Right.
Resilient man. All right, so the next one here is he takes care of himself.
right.
Driven men with a purpose look at themselves as if they were machines, and they have the mindset that the more they take care of the machine, the farther they will go. So high quality men always eat well, exercise, keep learning, and investing in themselves. Now, again, I think at the end of the day, I don't think that makes you high quality or low quality. That just makes you someone who gives a damn.
And high driven about your health. Like,
yeah,
but
I
that
mean,
doesn't make the men not going to the gym low value. Like,
right, that part, because there's a host of millionaires and billionaires who are quote unquote out of shape. So what is that saying? Like he don't give a damn about himself? No, he don't care about going to the gym and working out because that doesn't define him as a person. There's
right.
nothing wrong with that, but I think oftentimes the issue comes in is when we say if you don't do this, then you're not that.
Exactly. Like black and ugly as ever. However, I say Gucci down to the socks.
Hey, look at you quoting lyrics. All right. But speaking of that, did y'all hear the quote unquote new diss song by Mace talking about Diddy?
Oh,
No.
Mace, I didn't know Mace was still moving. No.
I think he just came out with it like a couple
Is
days
it
ago.
godly? Because I know he did the
It is.
gospel. Is it dissing
It is.
him
It is
in the
not.
realm of the Lord? Okay.
It is not. Yeah.
I'll Google it after the show.
Check that out.
Yeah. If I was
That should be the peek through.
if we wasn't gonna if I wasn't concerned about getting the show shut down by playing it, I would go grab it and
Oh,
play
that's
it.
right.
But I can't do it. We hadn't gotten any clearance for that, so
Mm.
I can't do that. All right, so he has high self-esteem.
Great. That's amazing. High value because he has high self-esteem. Something everyone wants and needs.
Everyone wants and needs high self-esteem. It says it's self-esteem, not confidence. Self-esteem is different. Confidence ebbs and flows depending on your results and skills in a given field, but self-esteem stays. It stays. Confidence is founded on strength and results, while self-esteem encompasses losses and weaknesses. Now, again, I don't know who wrote this bullshit, but
Finch do not like it.
I don't like it at all because I'm not a trendy kind of person. Like I don't do trends. I don't subscribe to trends. I believe in blazing trails, not following trends. And so I've just never been that type of person who likes to because this is popular or somebody made this hot or it went viral. Let me do it. I don't want to do it.
And if you listen to that last statement, it almost makes you believe that if you make a certain amount of money, you no longer have it's not possible for you to have low self-esteem once you make a certain amount of money.
Right. More money, more problems, which brings low self-esteem.
Right, exactly. And we know that's not true.
Yeah. So
there's billionaires killing themselves, like suicide.
Exactly.
Rich as fuck and killing them and unaliving themselves.
Exactly.
Y'all think about this, right? Remember when Dave Chappelle did his last stand-up and he was talking about Anthony Bourdain. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And
Yeah.
he gave this story about a guy that he knew from high school that went on to Yale and lost everything. He was working as a manager at Foot Locker. And he said it never occurred to him to kill himself.
That's it.
Mika, you're right. At the end of the day, that we often act like having these things in place are mechanism that keeps people, like rich folks don't have high self-esteem or self-esteem. They're killing themselves every day almost. He generates his own self-esteem. And here's the question: why is that important? Because as long as you depend on external forces to prop up your ego and self-esteem, you will always be dependent on those external forces. I think that's one of the things that a number of people rely on, is especially in this day and age of social media.
Social media.
We're counting likes, follows, subscriptions, and all these things as people liking us and esteeming us. And the moment you're not, and this is where think about this, and this is one of the other things I will never subscribe to. I'm not posting every day. I'm not going live every other day, every week. I'm not doing none of that shit. Why? Because I don't want to. I don't have a desire to do that. And I see people doing this religiously daily. Like they feel like they gotta post 30 times a day. If they don't go live, and it's not because they got something relevant or something impactful to say, or I'm not saying that has to be the only reasons why you go live or do whatever you do. I'm just simply saying, like, they're doing it because they need the applause, they need the likes, they need. And I literally, I've seen this happen, especially on Facebook and Instagram, where somebody would post something. A woman, for instance, would post, and she's accustomed to posting pictures of her big titties and fat ass, and that gets hundreds of thousands of likes and mentions and all the comments and people in her DMs. But the moment she posts something, a quote or something with words on it, it got 10 likes, and she mad about that. When I post pictures of me in my bikini, y'all like it. And when I see that, I'm gonna tell you what I do when I see that. Unfollow.
I'm glad you didn't unfollow me. I made mine into a funny joke. I did a TikTok exactly like that. Because I always post quotes as well, but I did a TikTok backwards, and it was like clapping because I was backwards. I was like, whenever I do a post with my back turned, all these likes, and as soon as I say, just wake up today, be great, love yourself, and my mama, I like, but as soon as I get up there, and if I do it like, yeah, like yourself, love yourself, and twerk, it's like, girl, like it's crazy, but you just get used to that.
I mean, you got to, because I mean that is our society. At the end of the day, you a woman, Mika. If you got ass and titties, you ain't even got to look that great. If you got ass and titties, you're gonna have a whole bunch of folks on your post. If you shaking ass and showing titties, nip slip, whatever it is, because our society has been overly sexualized. And
Definitely.
as much as we want to talk about, well, you don't like my brain. No,
that's how we sound mentally. Well, so what do you think about? I heard a few years ago, Instagram was going to try something because of the suicides from social media, that no one sees your likes but you. So you can have 1 million likes, but no one will see it but you. So everyone looks like they have 0 likes. So you don't know who's popular and who's not. And I heard it was going to happen. I just never saw it happen.
They didn't do that.
Yeah, I remember reading something about that too.
Right? That it was going to.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was wondering when they were gonna move towards that, because I would love to see
what the difference is, right?
The changes in traffic, just to see what would happen if they did do that, because like Finch was just saying earlier, I mean, everything is so trendy, people think they have to be a part of the newest trend. And so when you take away that popularity factor, the traffic may change a little bit.
Exactly. You go there and it has 0 likes. You're like, oh, I don't want to be the first. I don't know if anyone likes it, and no one wants to stand alone these days. So they're just going to leave it alone.
Yeah.
And I think they did do that. It lasted. I don't know how long it lasted because I mean, at the end of the day, nobody's going to your social media. Well, people are not posting stuff on social media and not looking at, oh, so and so liked it, so and so liked it. But in case you guys are just joining us, it's the first time that we're doing this in the 4 seasons we've had this podcast. Is we are live on Clubhouse, and if you're on Clubhouse now, no matter where you're watching or listening from. If you have questions about this conversation or you just want to join us to the conversation, if you're in Clubhouse, just raise your hand. We'll get you up and bring you in on this conversation. We're talking about what is a high value man or woman. And if you missed any of this conversation before now, you missed a lot. Here's another thing. He's assertive. Is assertiveness a sweet spot that allows high quality a high quality man to speak up for his rights without undermining others, expect and demand fair treatment while treating others respectfully, seek power while respecting others' rights to self-determination? I don't know, guys.
These all sound like turn-ons, and I guess turn-ons make you higher value. The more of these points you have, the higher your value because the more you turn women on. Because these are traits that women love.
Is it women that love these traits or some people?
I mean, a lot of women, those points that you've named, a man that's confident, a man that's assertive, one that takes care of himself. They're all positive. It's not a need, but they're all nice.
They're positive. Okay.
Yeah.
So what happens in our society when a woman meets a man who's confident and assertive, but she depicts him as controlling or demeaning? What does that say? That does he not high value no more?
I mean, there's a boundary for everything, I would imagine. I mean, but that's the other crazy thing about this list is that if a man accomplishes all these characteristics, 9 times out of 10, that dude ain't single.
You think so?
For the most part, I mean, it's very few men who walk around with those characteristics, all of those characteristics.
Yeah, they're in friend zones because I haven't heard good looking yet. So a man could have all that and still not have a woman because he's not good looking and he's every woman's best friend. He's in the friend zone.
So JB's statement you saying is wrong because there are men out here in our society
with the whole package and missing one thing. He's just not my physical type, and he's sitting there on the sideline. He's going to the mall with you. That's your best friend.
You sleep every night on the phone,
and you comfortable too. When you go in the dressing room, come in here and tie this up just naked in front of this man because you know you're not giving him nothing.
So, let me be clear. So he gets all the free feels and free.
He's the gay best friend. He gets it all.
He like the gay best friend.
He gets it all and don't get a thing.
That is ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
I
agree.
But yeah, I would agree with that though. I think that guy is either in the friend zone or he's already spoken for.
He's taken.
He's taken. I don't think he's taken. I had an interesting conversation with someone who was working an event I did out of town for Ford this weekend, and she has this long laundry list of things a guy got to have. And I said to her, I said, at the end of the day, what do you do when the problem is you? She don't want to hear. People don't like to hear about themselves and you being the problem because we talk about high value, low value, whatever value, but at the end of the day, somebody still got to come home to you. So it doesn't matter if society says your value is high or low or however you allow someone else to define it. How do you define yourself? I think at the end of the day, when you're talking about men and women, you should really be looking at qualities that allow you guys to build. Number one, build together. Number one, more importantly, grow. Like I said this earlier. Where have we gotten in our society? Why have we gotten away from building healthy long-term relationships? We have all these stipulations and criteria for looks and money and credit and all these things. And I'm not saying those things are not important, but it's about where we rank them on the list. I think in essence we're putting them out of order on the list when it comes to, because at the end of the day, I can't say everybody because that wouldn't be a true statement. I remember having this conversation last year, I think, year before last, not last year before last, or early last year, right? I was talking to a group of men and women, and they was talking about characteristics and traits that their man or woman had to have. Now, none of these people were in a relationship together, and the woman brought up, a man got to have a big dick and got to have this and got to have that. And I said, this is what I said. Listen to what I said. I said, so you telling me you never had a man with a big dick? Yeah, I have, but you ain't with him now. So that tells you that's not the criteria for a lasting relationship. And I think so many times we're looking at things that have been deemed important by society, but look at the people in society who are single. Oh, he or she got to take me as I am. That's the problem. That's the problem. Like nobody is taking you because of how you are.
Right. I have a question for you, Finch.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let me hear.
Your textbook, high value, and
how so?
By all those points you're reading, and by what Kevin Samuel says, your age and the older men get, the higher their value. You have 0 kids, just your value according to everything, and recently married. So why were you single so long as being a high value man?
Great question, Mika. Great question. Glad you asked it.
Or were you in the friend zone of everyone?
No, I was not in the friend zone. I was fucking a lot, but I was not in the friend zone. But that was the thing. Like, I wasn't meeting women that I saw myself building with, like building a future with, and a healthy relationship with, healthy long-term relationship with. I wasn't seeing that because a number of the women I was meeting had that superficial, shallow mindset, just like society when it comes to relationship. And I was just like, yeah. But I knew when I met someone who housed those qualities, I would know because I would listen to what they say. I would look at different traits and characteristics of them. And I use this method that I created. It's called the free agency method. Now, a lot of people didn't like that, right? I started looking at women like, and I know you guys are gonna hate me for this. I don't give a damn. I started looking at relationships and women like sports. Okay. Now, JB, you can appreciate this because you're a sportsman. Right?
Please break this down for us, Finch.
I'm gonna break it down for you. So when you think about professional sports, like we're basketball season right now, NBA, NFL, right? How do they go about determining whether or not a player is suitable for their team? I start looking at
stats.
Not necessarily. They look at a host of things. Let's take the NBA for instance. When LeBron James came out of high school to go into the NBA, what did they look at to determine? What did Cleveland look at to determine whether or not they was going to draft him?
I'm not a sports person, so
again,
I thought they followed his high school career and saw the proof in the pudding, and like, we need that. Look what he's done. I thought it was a history thing.
Well,
I mean, that's a part of it. I mean, but it's mostly because of his measurables.
Measurables. That part. Like say that one more time for the people in the back, baby. Measurable.
It's all about measurables. I mean,
and what you mean by that?
So when you see a high school kid, I mean, just using LeBron James as the example, if you're talking about when he came out of high school, this kid was already 6'9", 250, and could do things with a basketball that no one had done previously, for a person of his size.
Right.
And when you have that kind, when you're that tall and you have that kind of wingspan and you're that fast, that's automatically going to put you at the top of most draft boards.
And that young, so they know they're going to get some longevity with you, right?
Yeah, that too.
Yeah,
I never saw it that way.
So think about it like this, right? Just think about this for instance, right? When we talk about measurables, how are we measuring the men and women we are looking to choose to date and build relationships with? Are we building this off the recipe of society in which those results have been catastrophic in a sense? Or are we building it on something that can actually stand the test of time? I say this because we talk about this, right? So think about this. When I was looking at at my relationship and the type of woman I would need, I need a woman who is a quick thinker, all right? One who knows how to maneuver through conflict, knows how to hold a certain level of assurance through trials and tribulations, because these are things you can't escape in life. These are things that
Mhm.
are going to happen in your life. Okay. Someone who has a certain level of understanding, maturity, because again, when you're talking about two individuals becoming one individual. And when we talk about marriage, we're talking about two people virtually becoming one person. Will they become one person physically? No, because you got two separate bodies. But we're talking about mentally, they have to operate in oneness. So, how do you operate in oneness with someone that you didn't grow up with, that you haven't known for a very long time? We look at all these other things. Like, I never understood why we don't look at relationships in the same manner that HR people look at employees that they're going to hire.
Right, I said that on maybe the second show I was ever on for you. It's the same as
Yeah,
a,
it's the
a
same,
job.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah. But in our society, because we're not taught that, we don't see that as the same thing, correct? So
Right.
I remember I was on this date one time with this lady, this woman rather, and I used that analogy because she had a problem with me going out with multiple women at the time. I'm like, hey, it's like I'm like HR. You think when you went for your job interview, they just interviewed you and
Mhm,
that's it? No, they
Mhm.
have several candidates that they are
Definitely.
reviewing for the
mhm,
purposes of hiring the best candidate that they feel fits their
For the
needs
job.
and objectives, right?
mhm,
Mhm.
mhm,
Dating
It's
should be
exactly the
the
same.
same thing. Like
mhm,
relationships should be the same. You should use the same recipe and the same method. When the NBA do players for the draft, they don't just look at one player. They would be foolish to just look at one player. What
mhm,
Right.
happens if that player gets hurt and he can't play no more?
All the
You know,
eggs in one basket. Now you just
yeah. So what we should do in our culture and society is, and people, I hear people say this all the time. I could never date more than one person. That's your problem. So what you do is you do this. Let's say you HR. You hire the first person that comes through the door that has some traits that you like. Listen to what I said. Some traits that you like. They're
mhm,
not traits that you actually even love. You just like them. You're fond of them. And you
mhm,
hire that person. And after the incubation period ends and y'all really have to live with one another, you start learning all these things about this person you don't like. They start learning a whole of things about you that they don't like. The problem is not the things you don't like, is nobody's growing, nobody's
Mhm.
changing. So now
mhm.
we want to remain the same, but we want somebody else that we're with to change. And we call that high value. No, that's bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, mhm.
Definitely.
I definitely
That's
agree.
bullshit.
I mean that's a perfect analogy when you're talking about HR picking full of candidates.
Uh-huh.
And I mean your dating life should resemble that, because if you're sitting around thinking that that perfect one is the first one that come through the door, man, you setting
Right.
yourself up for failure. I said because a
Yeah.
lot of the
Right.
because and when you made the statement of, they have some of the things that you may like,
Hmm.
the sum that you're probably seeing is all the superficial stuff.
That
Stuff
part.
stuff stuff that'll probably change down the line, because
Yep.
nothing stays the same forever. So
Nothing.
if you're basing it strictly off of those things, it's gonna make it difficult for you to
Mhm.
find that one person who could make you truly happy.
Yeah.
People put more time into a refrigerator. They look at several refrigerators before they pick one. Like
Right.
I've looked at literally 10 dishwashers. Like we put more time into things that are less important, but it's like that person that's for your life. It's like, oh no, I'm just gonna put all this here and trust it.
Mhm,
It's like you have less trust in other things. Like you really research other things down to the T, but your
mhm.
life partner, you're just like,
It's whatever.
oh, whatever.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how we do. Uh, Man, I mean, like, I can keep talking about this. I really can, because I mean, we haven't even gotten to the
To the
thing that
women.
to the women, right? And let me just say these, right. He has a growth mindset. Carol Dweck is in her seminal psychological research outlines two different approaches people have. She said two different approaches people have to skills and talents. They have a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. A fixed mindset, people believe their qualities are set at birth and carved in stone. You are who you are, and there isn't much you can do about it. People with a fixed mindset shy away from challenges because losing means they're bad, and that would hurt their ego.
Mm,
And she further says, and you don't get to high quality without being advanced in some crucial areas of life. And since humans are social animals, social skills is one of those areas where you need to reach an advanced level no matter what your chosen life path is. High quality men know what's fair and not fair, what's friendly and what's rude, and what they can take and what they will not take. And they set and enforce their boundaries accordingly. And of course, needless to say, they demand fair behavior at home as well, and they take no disrespect. If their spouse cheats, she's out. If she threatens to break up, they know how to handle it.
mm,
Wow, man.
High value, huh?
yeah. I think the older people get, the more that trait is, you know how they say he's setting his ways, or she's
Setting
setting
his
her
ways.
ways. It's
Yeah,
like the older, because you're like, I done been there, done that. You can't change my mind about this. I've been
yeah.
doing it for 50 years.
Now, this is one thing I do believe, and it has nothing to do with somebody being high value or low value, but growth mindset. She says growth mindset people believe they can learn and grow. They seek learning and growth opportunities because failing does not define them. On the contrary, failing is the only way they can improve. Men with a growth mindset move forward in their lives, are open to feedback and criticism, and are generally happier and more pleasant people to be around.
Hmm.
Interesting, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
And what you just described, money doesn't have anything to do with that though.
And
Had nothing,
not one
has
of the
nothing to
points.
do with money.
Not one of them. Not
Mhm.
one of those points.
So that goes back to say what I said earlier. When you're talking about what somebody defines as high value with their shallow, superficial mindset, um, they have a fixed mindset. I think a person like a Kevin Samuels has a fixed mindset. He for wherever he got this notion from to reinvent himself as this person, because he wasn't. Y'all didn't hear about Kevin Samuels for the last 40 something years, and all of a sudden in the last 2 years he's popularized this because so many other people put him on pedestals and platforms.
Controversy.
Yeah, for ratings. I mean, it sounds good when somebody says stuff that people don't necessarily agree with, or oh, well, he's saying what I've been thinking. Great, but that doesn't mean it's right
Right.
just because somebody says it or defines something as that. But we as a society have been, I believe, brainwashed to believe that what somebody says based upon who says it, that is the law and that is the truth. And unfortunately,
Mm.
that's one of the things I think that has hurt us in in time. Let's talk about high value woman
Well,
traits.
Finch, how many points was that? 7 or 10? It's odd that it is ironic how you read all those points, and the top two things people look for, which are money and looks,
Was
they
not
weren't
in
on
there.
there. They
Yeah,
weren't on there.
yeah. None of those things was
That's
on there.
crazy. I
Yeah,
was waiting to hear it.
not on there. Not on there. Again, that's what I'm saying. Like when we look at
Superficial.
what's high value versus what's valuable, I
Hmm.
think we define what's valuable by a host of superficial, shallow definitions, and that's I think oftentimes that's predicated by how we were raised. How we were brought up as people.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So
Or
we
the
have somebody in
circle.
Clubhouse that wants
Ooh.
to come up and say something. So let's bring him in. Let me make sure I can bring him in here. Here we go. All right. Hey. Hello. Can you hear me? I can hear it echo, but I can't hear you. We can't hear you. You can hear us where? Oh, you can barely hear us in Clubhouse. You can hear us clearly on YouTube, but you can't hear us. You can barely hear us in Clubhouse. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to fix that right now. Yeah, I hear it echo. Okay, I don't know. I don't know. They can hear us clearly on YouTube, but they can barely hear us on Clubhouse. I don't know how to fix that.
And I can't hear them as I did earlier.
You can't hear them at all. Okay, let's see. All right, let's see. Let me see here. So let me mute myself on Clubhouse. All right, so I don't think they can hear me now, though. Can they hear me on Clubhouse now?
Not if you're muted.
Not if you mute. They can't hear you if you mute it.
I'm no genius, but I'm just guessing.
Yeah, because I'm hearing feedback. I'm hearing. Let me try something.
Okay, I just heard something. Yep. There they go.
All right, so let's see if you can hear. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? Well, hold on. Let me try something. Let me take my mic off. Can you hear me now on Clubhouse? I don't know. Okay, I don't know if they can hear me on Clubhouse right now.
Mhm.
That's unfortunate because I really want to have that conversation with those. Okay, so you can hear me on Clubhouse now. So you talk and let me see if I can hear you. If we can hear you. This technology is something else, ain't it?
Mm-hmm.
We're very low on Clubhouse. Okay. Yeah, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to turn it up.
You wanted me to talk?
Yes.
I can hear her clearly.
Okay, now we can hear you.
Okay, you guys are super low on Clubhouse where we can barely hear you. And so what I was saying is I can unfortunately YouTube is a little delayed, but I could play YouTube into Clubhouse and they can hear your conversation. JB is in the audience, he would be able to hear your conversation. But when you're speaking, we can barely hear you guys on Clubhouse.
All right, so now can you hear the people here talking on Clubhouse or no? Off limits, say something.
Have them say something.
Hello.
You didn't hear anything.
Can you hear me?
Nope, I can only barely hear you. You're very, very low.
They can barely
and
hear
I have
you.
my volume all the way up.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I don't know how we're gonna do this.
So if you can mute yourself on Clubhouse and lower your volume from Clubhouse, I can stream you on Clubhouse. You just won't be able to necessarily engage with the audience on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, they can hear you clearly, but you can't hear them at all. So.
Oh yeah, she's really clear now.
Yeah. She's very clear. Yeah.
See, so I don't know how we fix that on this end, so that let me try something. All right, so what about now? So you guys say something. Let's see if they.
Testing 1, 2, 3.
So Clubhouse person, can you hear us now, or no?
Hello, Clubhouse.
We're very low on Clubhouse again. Okay. We probably have to disconnect Clubhouse and just go YouTube. Subscribe and buy into this bullshit. Yeah.
Because it's trending. There's no different than a hot dance on TikTok.
Yeah. So yeah, we can hear.
Yes.
We can hear the delay that's happening on Clubhouse.
But what's also crazy about
wow.
That's so funny.
Especially since I don't like to hear myself.
Yeah, that's crazy, right? All right, so we're gonna have to probably end it on Clubhouse because we can't hear. So we'll try this again next week on Clubhouse. So we'll leave Clubhouse now.
Maybe we'll do a couple of test runs before.
Yeah, test runs.
Yeah.
All right. So Here's the thing on women. Hopefully they can hear us on YouTube. It's just delayed a little bit. So here's the thing on women. So number one says she is feminine.
But I'm masculine. Hey, Nate.
Hey, you better stop messing with Nate. I can't wait for next week when you come in with Nate, and that's going to be interesting. A high value woman doesn't necessarily need to be attractive.
So now they're gonna throw looks on us. And it's number 2. I waited 15 points for men,
Yes,
and it's our second point that we have to be attractive.
Wow.
That is our society, ladies and gentlemen. When you really think about it, like we put standards on men that we don't place on women. We put standards on women that we don't place on men. They're saying a high value woman doesn't necessarily need to be attractive. Sure, that's a big advantage, but it's not a necessary precondition. But she definitely needs to be feminine and know how to present herself.
And that's number 2 on the list.
2.
That's number 1 on the list.
This is part of number 1. Oh, wow. Okay.
This is number 1. Yeah, number 1.
Let's just get that out there.
Yeah.
Toss that on out there right now.
Yeah, right now.
That's number 1 on the list.
Wow.
I'm so disappointed.
Yeah, that's
femininity. They say femininity is a must for a high quality woman. It's a must. Explain that, being that you're the only woman on this conversation right now.
I can't. I wish you could see me from. I'm over here just like I can't. I guess they want someone. I don't know. JB would have to define it for if you needed a feminine woman. What would that look like for you? When you say I need a feminine woman, what does she need to?
I mean, that could mean, a host of things. I mean, that's really a loaded question. I mean, but I guess when they say a feminine woman, are we talking about someone who gets their hair and nails done every week and is dainty and someone who may be, like Finch was talking about earlier, might be high maintenance? Is that what femininity is in this
high maintenance?
Yeah. I mean, when I think feminine, I think hair nails as well.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I think about. Or are they saying, is this the woman who, is you're gonna need to open the door for them every time? You're gonna need to make sure you pull out their chair. Is it a high maintenance situation, or is it something that, as long as you make sure that she's treated like a lady, then that's femininity as well.
So masculine defines it as just having traits of something that's normal to a man. So feminine is nothing but having traits of things that are known to us. But it's like, what's known to a woman other than the cooking, the cleaning, the hair, the makeup? What are traits that are qualities that are known to women to call us feminine? The crying, we have to cry.
Oh, crying is being a
that's
part of
considered feminine. It's a part of the emotions. Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So number 2 is she takes care of her appearance. Now, again, we just went through a list of 10 things for men, and not one of them had
appearance was like 4 for men. It was like he takes care of how his health and how he looks or something like that.
Well, it didn't say how he looks. It said he takes care of himself. Is what that said. He takes care of himself.
Appearance, looks and appearance.
He has high self-esteem. He generates his own self-esteem. He's assertive. He knows power dynamics. He has a purpose. He takes care of himself. That was number 3. He eats well. He exercises. He keeps learning and investing in themselves. Is what it says.
Okay, I see the same for a woman. I guess number 2 higher up, but
yeah. Okay. So she takes care of all the external signs or important indicators of self-care, which is personal hygiene, posture, voice, clothing, makeup, and she doesn't hide it, is what they're saying.
So having good hygiene is high value. I thought that was normal. I mean, once you get to a certain age, I mean, hygiene is gonna be number 1. I mean, that's not something you can really bypass. I don't care what value you give. It's crazy.
He said hygiene not something you should bypass. I don't care where you see yourself on the value pole.
Oh yeah. Oh, that's definitely gonna need to be high up there.
High up there. The next thing is she takes care of her health. I think the food she eats, no fast food, no
Okay. Let me go hide that
drinks.
Impossible Whopper.
She avoids pops and sodas and colas. She exercises. Overall, she keeps her body running smoothly. So there's a host of according to these stats,
Particulars.
there would be a host of low value women if we're looking at that, right?
Drinking soda. I'm
Yeah.
not drinking soda. I substitute my soda for Hennessy.
Just crazy. Hennessy. Hennessy. Okay. Okay. She cares about people. She's emotionally stable. Women tend to have wider mood swings, as compared to men, so they get a bit more leeway. But a high value woman is still expected to be relatively secure of herself and of her own worth, not going to make public drama, not excessively obnoxious or anxious. No wild mood swings. They say that's a sign of borderline personality. And she's generally positive and uplifting.
So in other words, as a high value woman, you can't have a down moment in your life. You pretty much
Ever.
That part.
You pretty much gotta be a robot. You're for all this
Keep
stuff.
shining.
Right.
Smiling.
No,
No,
can always
always count.
count on
Right.
me. For sure.
Man.
That's what high value is for.
It's for exactly.
So she's emotionally stable. She has a good command of the English language. This is the thing that threw me. She has a good command of the English language. Language, they say, is highly correlates with intelligence.
Wow.
I ain't gonna do it.
Niggas say not me. Not me. She radiates positivity and lifts people up. Okay. She is socially skilled. She plays little games. Now here's the thing about the game.
That's so picky. They got so picky with us. Why they got
Really?
like that with us?
Who knows? And here's the thing. Before y'all scold me, a woman wrote this. She plays little games. The women's dating literature is all about playing games. By far, the three most popular being make him wait for sex, pretend you're not interested, let him invest more. That's that.
Ooh, kind of
Let
goes
him-
to the show I saw last week.
Make him wait for sex, pretend you're not interested, and let him invest more.
Those are games, though.
And here's the thing. They say, for an example, a high value woman does not try to make you jealous, threaten to break up, or pretend his exes were better. A high value woman now. So that couldn't be related to someone just not being mature.
Or just petty. It sounds petty. Like, so
Yeah,
a petty woman can't be a high value woman.
A petty woman, you said a petty woman can't be a high value woman.
That's what it sounds like. You can't be petty.
You can't be petty. Okay.
Because you're immature now if you're petty and
That sounds about right. Number 10, she knows when to set boundaries. A high value woman is pleasant and welcoming, but she's not a pushover and knows when it's time to take a stand and defend her boundaries.
I like that one.
Yeah, but both of these just
I wish it was the other way. That should have been one and then trickle down to the looks and the other stuff.
yeah.
That was a nice one right there.
But here's the thing about that. Let's think about the person who wrote this and where they place themselves in the value chain. When you think about it, like that goes back to what I said earlier. When you start thinking about how we listen to what people say and we make that truth, we make that fact, not just this is what they think about it. But no, that's a fact because they said it. Whoever wrote this, that's their thought of that. That's their view of women. That's not that don't make it right. That don't mean it's true. It just means that's their viewpoint on it. Same thing with the men. Same thing with Kevin Samuels and everybody else who thinks like that. Don't make it right. Just make it that's their view on it. So
and they'll phone a friend and talk to 3 people. I'm like, well, I have studies that show like those are your best friends. Those are your homies.
All that bias ass information you got. Because at times, we are guilty of our friends egging us on when we are flat out wrong. Now, a lot of us have friends who don't subscribe to that, but we've all seen it. We've seen people, because they are your friend, they're not going to tell you the truth all the time, especially when it comes to things about yourself.
Or if they think it's going to hurt you in the long run.
Right.
Because most friends aren't going to say anything, just to hurt your feelings. So at the very least, they're going to try to, put a little sugar on it, like my mama used to say.
Put a little sugar on.
Or today gas you up, got your gas all up, and now you outside looking crazy because she told you to wear that wrestling outfit, and now you're naked in the bathroom because it's a onesie.
That's hilarious. She is emotionally intelligent, and she has a growth mindset and don't take things personally. And then she has an unapproachable style. Those are all the traits that they say make a high value woman. Y'all agree with that?
Throw them in the trash. Throw them traits in the trash, the men and the women.
You said throw them all in the trash?
All that paper. Throw it off the fence, please.
Off the fence. All right, we got to take a small break. I know this conversation went a lot longer than we anticipated, but we got one more conversation I want to have about privacy. Is there a justification for an invasion? A woman goes viral for secretly watching her unsuspecting man use his phone at the gym. Did y'all see that?
I did.
Are you going to play it?
I did see it. Yeah, that was crazy.
I'm going to see if we can find that during the break and play it. We got more off the fence. We're going to have that conversation when we come back. We'll be right back.
Hey, babe, check this out. Alexa, it's game day.
Streaming football on Prime Video. Closing blinds. Chilling rosé.
Rosé?
Well, it's an afternoon game.
Oh. It's like she can read your mind. I love that we get to sleep in.
Ordering fresh mint mouthwash. Extra strength.
I'm thinking I should get a spray tan, because that's on Wednesday.
Activating blender.
Funeral's on Monday.
What about the gold, Papa? Can't you see? The treasure all along. It was here.
Love the eye patch. When does the show open?
March 8th.
Setting reminder to fake your own death on March 8th.
What the?
When you have to do those love scenes with hot guys, is that fun or is that like the worst?
It's the worst.
Tell me lies, tell me sweet little lies.
Scarlett, this bread is delicious. Did you make it?
Yes, it's from my Gammy's recipe.
Announcement. Gammy is short for she bought it at Whole Foods. Announcement. Colin left the oysters in the car for 5 hours.
It's probably better Alexa can't read your mind.
Bad idea.
What's the game?
That was hilarious.
Wasn't it? Oh, that's so funny. All right, so a woman goes viral for secretly watching her unsuspecting man use his phone at the gym. And it brought up this question about privacy. And we're going to get involved in it right now. That's our peak. So here's the thing. I saw this video over the weekend on TikTok. I'm going to play it right now, and then we're going to talk about it.
Buddy's girlfriend pulled up on him in the gym. If he was actually exercising, this situation probably could have been avoided. She just stood over him as he did whatever on his phone. Hopefully it wasn't bad. I swear he'd been sitting for at least 10 minutes on the machine. I wanted to help him, but I was training a client. Almost the whole gym was watching, waiting for him to notice. When she left, we told him that whatever you did on that phone for the last 15 minutes, she saw it, buddy. He ran out after her, and I haven't seen him in the gym since this was in January.
Oh, man.
So here's my question. Privacy. Do we really have any? Well, I'm not talking about his woman, because it turns out that was his wife. She surprised him at the gym. And as y'all saw, she leaned over this guy for 15 minutes. And he did not notice she was right here.
Nobody at the gym was like, bro, you using that machine? I would have said something. You using that machine?
No, but what was so crazy was somebody must have been getting ready to say something, because she shook somebody in the background.
Yes,
she did.
If you
did she have on workout clothes?
No, she had it looked like she had on a long trench coat, or a pea coat. Like she was dressed for winter.
Okay, so she didn't come to surprise him to work out with him.
Well, we can't say that. We can't say that, because maybe she had her clothes and she just wanted to surprise. Now, here's the thing about that whole aspect is, how did she walk? How did she get in the gym, for one? But more importantly, how did she find him on this machine? How did he sit there for 15 minutes and not? There's mirrors all in the gym.
Because he was so into whatever it was. He didn't even look in front of him. There's a mirror in front of you. There's somebody, because she did do this. Like, don't you say nothing.
Somebody was about to say something to him.
Then he said, everyone in the gym is now looking at this guy. So everybody looking at you, but you.
But you. But that also shows that whatever it was he was doing on his phone, it took absolute precedence over anything else.
Priority.
Absolutely.
Ooh.
So this was my question, and I tried to get the guy that filmed that to come on the show.
Really?
Yeah. He told me we had to pay him for him to come on, so he's not here. Look at y'all faces. Look at y'all faces. I ain't lying. That's what he told me. I got to get paid. I just really wanted to talk to him about the privacy aspect. Because are you guys aware of privacy laws in our country?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
What do y'all think those privacy laws say?
Now, I don't know what they are, but I do know there's some type of privacy laws.
Wait a minute, Mika.
I know you can't put cameras in my dressing rooms and things like that, but I don't know what verbatim, like what the verbiage is of the law.
Okay. Mika said, I know there are laws exist. I can't tell you what they are, but
it's like I know they take my taxes. I don't know where my money going.
or like when you go on certain websites, they'll ask you, can we share your information? You say
and
yes,
every app you download, it's fine.
Right.
But yeah, it's in there. Can we see your gallery? Can we see your contacts? Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and you can say no to all of that.
And I won't let you install it.
So Novins, York, Jacobus, and Dooley law firm said the question was, can a person take legal action if someone posts unauthorized photos or videos on social media? Because this guy was a trainer in the gym that took this. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want him to sue us. But he was filming that, as you guys saw. He was filming that whole episode. And then not only did he film it, then he posted it on his TikTok, and it got 2 million views.
Double whammy. Oh yeah.
I mean, you got to think about that. Like, I mean, that's the kind of stuff we were just talking about. People love to see in society, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it got 2 million, or over 2 million views. It's still counting. It made it on the Shade Room, and you guys know when it makes the Shade Room, it's going world. And so it got me to thinking, like, could he be the guy who took and posted that? Could he be held liable, and could he be sued? The answer is No,
Hmm.
because it took place in a gym. And so I'm gonna read you guys what it says. If you discover that someone posted either photos or videos of you or your family on a social media site without your permission, the first thing to know is that it is legal. I'm sorry. The first thing to know is that it is illegal. Keep in
Oh.
mind that every platform has a different privacy policy. So the individual that posts may think they did nothing wrong. However, if the images or videos belong to you, there are three ways that you can take control, including citing invasion of privacy, defamation, and a violation of right of publicity. Just like social media site policies, these three methods of recourse are unique. Here's the thing about that, right? You remember Charles was talking about loopholes, right? There's always a loophole in the legal system in our country. We talk about the justice system. There is not a justice system. There is a legal system. Okay. So in essence, although let's say if the footage belonged to the guy on the machine with his wife watching behind him, he would have a case. But the footage doesn't belong to him because it wasn't taken by him, and he's in a public place.
I see what you're saying. If he
So-
had the footage and it was
Right.
leaked, then
Right.
but it was never his footage to begin with.
Right. So
Okay.
by law, the footage does not belong to the guy at the gym on the machine in his phone. The footage belongs to the person sitting from a distance that took it. So social media, like he posted it to TikTok. TikTok is shielded from any liability because they say it don't belong to us. It belongs to him. So he is the individual is the person that is responsible for the footage. But the footage belongs to the person who took it. Now, only thing you can't do in certain places in our country is record conversations because they have this thing here where it's called a oh, hold on, I wrote it down. Hold on. I think it's called a right to privacy. Let me make sure.
So if they would have been having a conversation, what he would have been doing was illegal.
Right.
Because now but since they were silent,
Right.
he's just recording in a public place
in
on
a
his
public
phone.
place. That on his phone, the one that he owns and pays the bill for. So
Got it.
the footage is his. So an invasion of privacy, if the person who posted in a way that portrays you falsely or in an offensive manner, then you can take the appropriate action. Well, we see it wasn't falsely because he was in.
He was definitely there with a real phone.
He was there with a real phone,
A real wife.
with a real wife, and whatever he was doing, so he didn't portray him in a false manner. And if he had said something, now what he said his girl. Now again, he don't know that's his wife.
Right.
So what apparently happened was I'm going to read y'all what happened, and I'm gonna get back to that in a moment. So here's the update on what happened. I'm sorry, I was mistaken. It did not garner 2 million views. It got 21 million views. 21 million. I stand corrected.
That's
Not
all
2.
the prostitutes in Taiwan.
2-1.
Right. That's all of them.
The prostitutes in Thailand. Yeah.
That's all of them.
It garnered more than 21 million views on the guy's TikTok account. And someone had wrote and says they tried to pretend like they was the woman, and they said, "No, I'm no longer with him." I confronted him later that evening and ended our 7-year relationship. Ladies, know your worth and know when to leave. However, that was not his wife. But the guy who was sitting on the bench on the phone, because it garnered 21 million views, he eventually saw it, and he inboxed the guy who took it, and he said, "Bro, why you do that, man?" About an hour after receiving the initial 2 messages, he responded asking about the man's whereabouts and an update on the viral January situation. This happened in January. The guy said that, and this is the part that I was like, whoa, okay. He says, the woman in the video is actually my wife. Not only that, we're still together. We're still a couple after 4 years of marriage, and we recently had a daughter. As for what happened following the video, the man said he was busted for looking at other women on his phone. The man said when he got home, all his now wife did was cry.
Wow.
So when we talk about privacy and invasion of privacy, can a person take legal action if someone posts unauthorized photos or videos on social media? It just really depends on where. If they came in your home and did it, different story. But if you're in a public place, because you guys remember that happened to y'all. Remember the actress that took a video of the white woman in the Apple store losing her stuff.
Yeah, I
don't
remember
have
that.
Yeah,
I remember the video. Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
So here's an attorney. Her name is Ashley, and this is what she said. Lawyers will never give you hard rules because the answer always is it depends on the specific situation. But of course, we're talking about the United States. That's the first thing I need to say. And the second thing I need to say is when you deal with state law, the laws vary greatly across the country. And then we have federal law as well. Generally speaking, though, when you're in public, it is legal to record someone, video record or audio record, as long as they don't have what is called an expectation of privacy, or rather a reasonable expectation of privacy. And generally in public, you do not have a reasonable expectation of privacy. So you can record people.
Wow.
And that's one of the things that I've seen so many times before when people say, you can't record me. You actually can.
Right, you can.
It's actually legal.
You know how they always try to add the meat and potatoes though? Like, what if he was recording that and because of that, something really horrible happened to that guy? And they're like, well, it wouldn't have happened had you not had your camera on. You know how they always try to go full circle and pin things.
So here's the other thing. So she was asked, can she define reasonable expectation of privacy? And this is what she said. You have a reasonable expectation of privacy on the phone, meaning you cannot just record somebody you're having a phone conversation with unless you are in a one-party consent state and you consent, or you're in a all-party consent state and everybody consents. So you need to know that where you live or where you are, if your state is a one-party or all consent state. California is a one-party consent state, so I can record somebody that I'm talking to on the phone. I know that. The other thing to understand is that video recording and audio recording are not the same thing. For video recording, if there's no sound, you actually can get away with a lot more than you can with an audio recording. If you're in your home, your personal home, and other people start recording you, generally speaking, you have a reasonable expectation of privacy in your home. Though other people in your home do not, unless it's in the bathroom or perhaps the bedroom where they're spending the night, something along those lines. It's important to understand, though, that people can set rules for their own buildings, even if it's a government building. So if you go into a Starbucks and they say, put your camera down, you're not allowed to film in here. They can do that because it's a private business. If you come into my house and I say you are not allowed to record in my house, and you start recording, you are violating my rules. And the moment I tell you to stop and you fail to stop, and then I say leave and you fail to leave, you're now trespassing.
What about the vice versa? So if I had cameras throughout my whole home, is that legal if someone stayed the night? I would have to let them know, or is that not allowed? Okay.
You have to let them know, but you having cameras in your home is different than if you have a camera in the bedroom in which they're sleeping and you're recording them in there.
Is that legal?
Or in the bathroom? That's illegal.
Yeah, that's illegal.
In your home.
Right.
In your home.
And
Not
that's
that I
what
want to.
I keep reading over here or seeing these stories of Airbnb owners.
Yeah.
They got people in their home and they're recording some of the guests that are staying in their home.
That's
and they're
scary.
recording now. Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, that happened. I saw that too, JB. A story a while back where this creepy guy was recording the women that was staying in his Airbnb. But he wasn't just recording them like in the home for safety reasons. He had cameras in the bathroom, so he can record them when they use the restroom. He had cameras in the room so he can see them naked. You know, he was doing it for a perverted reason. Yeah,
and that's illegal.
And that's illegal. Yeah, that's illegal. When it comes to your privacy, you know, I think sometimes we feel that we have certain liberties that we are doing. And I said this earlier to Charles about taxes. It's the same thing with any law in our country. A host of people are not privy or not knowledgeable of laws governing them. They just think because somebody told them, "Oh, you can't record me." Yes, I can. You know, there's no expectation of privacy in a public place, unfortunately.
Right.
So
it's weird, but it's legal apparently.
Yeah. So you guys got to know this too. For those of you who are watching or listening, like when the police tell you to put your cameras away, there's no expectation of privacy. I can record you. You know. So yeah.
Well, I got some words to the guy in the gym. Get your ass off the bench.
Oh, that's hilarious.
She was doing the pull-ups then.
But he hasn't been there since January. But he said I haven't seen him since January. It's March.
Oh my goodness, that's so funny. That's so funny that you say that. Yes, man. That guy in the gym. I think when it comes to privacy in our country, in our lives, period, you know, we have to always look at what the law says. I think so many times that's where we err as people, is we don't know what the law says. That's one of the reasons why I detest a lot of the protests that people have when it surrounds some injustice of some sort, because I'd be like, that's not going to help the situation. Like, y'all remember years ago when Trayvon Martin was killed, and people on social media was talking about, let's black out our social media profiles. That ain't gonna change no laws.
I just didn't know who anybody was. I didn't know who anybody was. That's all. It was a movement, though. I guess it was something. People want to feel like they're doing something, especially when you're nowhere near where it's happening. Like, oh, let's collectively do it. But a lot of it don't. You can stand right in front of the courthouse there, and sometimes it does nothing. So,
well, again, that goes back to, think about what Charles Reed. What Charles Reed said. Reed. Yeah, there you go. Let me say Reed. Think about what he was saying, Mika, about knowing things, right? Like, you think about, we talk about a movement, but he said, if you want to do something about the tax laws, you got to talk to the people that you put in government that write these laws. So I'm saying the same thing with anything that we want to do. Like, I'm just not one of those people who gonna get it part of a feel-good movement. We do all this shit for what? It ain't. I'm about, let's do something that's gonna be impactful and actually make a difference and change something, rather than just doing it for the sake of likes and, oh, I want to be a part of something. Like, but if I'm a part of something that ain't making no difference and changing, why am I a part of it? Is
right.
You know.
And when you don't know, people get to tell you things that it may not be true. I watched this guy on TikTok. He goes around, he films buildings, and the cops come up to him and they're like, you can't film here. This is private property. He knew, I'm on the sidewalk. It's not. But someone like me would be like, okay, I'm leaving.
Right.
They're like, you need a permit to be here. He's like, I don't need a permit to be on the sidewalk. Go get your chief. I will show you. He knew. And just like, I mean, it's in music, but Jay-Z was like, can I check your car? No, I know my rights. You're going to need a warrant for that. But if me, can I check your car? You can check it, not knowing you need a warrant to do that. Or probable cause.
Or letting them in your home.
Right.
Yeah.
They're like vampires. You have to invite them in, or they have to have a warrant.
I'm gonna say this about that too, Mika, what I just said. Y'all ever watch those law shows or crime shows, and the police show up at your house and they say, and you answer the door and they say, can you step outside?
You can't.
Most people don't know. They can't come in your house and get you, but the moment you step outside is when they can arrest you.
It's just like a vampire. Like, as soon as you step out, it's like ding ding.
Yep.
But they would have had to wait they're on the phone waiting for a warrant that may never come through. Do not go outside. But I guess it's best to learn the law so you know what you're not breaking and what you can do, what you have the right to do.
Yeah, that part.
What was that cartoon from back in the 80s? Wasn't that G.I. Joe? And at the end,
Knowing
that's
it's half the battle.
No, it's half the battle. G.I. Joe.
Yeah. A real American hero, Jeffrey.
I love that show.
Still applies.
All right, guys, we out of time. I can go 19 more hours with y'all, man, but we out of time. It's so much. That's so much stuff we could talk about. I just love y'all. I just want to say that these are my friends. I love them. I love y'all. I love them. I love them. I love them. I love them. Man, listen, let me tell you something real quick. This is off the subject. Watching that video, the trailer of the show, and seeing JB, man, y'all imagine see the dude taking his tux off.
I love that trailer.
Hilarious, man. Hilarious, man. And I was just imagine, dude. I was every time I seen that clip, I'm just like, dude, I did actually imagine him taking his tux off when he saw that video.
And then me talking about the chocolate dripping off the penis.
You think he gonna kiss me lips after the I do?
Oh my God. I don't.
There's no way.
Whoever edited that,
awesome job. Awesome job.
Oh goodness, man.
I have real tears every time I see
it. It made me want to watch the show, and I was like, wait, I was on it. Like that shit look good.
I was watching y'all faces when that was playing. Mika, you had that look, that real look like, who? Oh, that's me. That's me. That's me.
That's me. Different hair, don't care.
Oh man, y'all gonna make me play that again at the end.
You should. That should be an outro.
I need y'all to. We need to do a new Uberlube commercial. Will y'all?
If we can get some, maybe I could actually do one.
Y'all putting on the lube and stuff.
Lube be glistening all over my ball.
What a lube at me?
All over my ball.
All right, Mika, you gonna let the lube drip down like that?
Just be slippery for no damn reason. Just slippery.
Oh my goodness, y'all are hilarious, man. All right, man. Final thoughts.
Get your ass off the bench. Make sure whatever value you feel you are, just be a good person. You'll attract good people. And that's my word.
Oh, all right. Jeffrey. I'm sorry, Mr. All Day.
It says it right there.
It says it right there.
If we don't do nothing else, people, pay your taxes. Pay your taxes. We don't want to see nobody going to club fed because you ain't paid your taxes.
It's all inclusive though. There, it is all inclusive.
Yeah, it's all, but it's gonna be all bad along with that all inclusive.
All bad. All bad. All right, guys. Listen, we're back here next Tuesday talking about money moves. Asha Wilkerson will be here with us next week, giving you 3 secrets you need to know about money. So make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tune in. And till next time, you guys get y'all ass off the fence. We'll see y'all back here next Tuesday.
The fiance, the wife, to be, didn't happen. She has her mouth wide open, getting chocolate dripped into her mouth from the penis of the stripper at the bachelorette party.
So you telling me the night before we are going to say I do for the rest of our life with one another, I need one more night to lay it all on the line? Like, what kind of bullshit is that?
And can't y'all picture my man at the house just taking his tux off as soon as he saw that video? It was like,
right.
He didn't have to let this man put his dick in the mouth and drip chocolate all over her mouth. She didn't have to do that.
Shouted, got drunk, thought it all was a dream, so I made her say,
You had your mouth wide open, letting chocolate drip, and you thought you was gonna kiss me after that I do? I don't.
Catch all new episodes Tuesdays at 7 p.m. This month, we're giving out $250 to our fans. Hey, our podcast is on Zipstream, which means every month, one of our listeners will get a chance to win $250. That's right, $250. Make sure you subscribe to our podcast on Zipstream for your chance to win. Link in the bio. And make sure you hashtag Zipstream Podcast Competition.